Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile, another set 9 brew. This one I'm pretty excited for because it just takes a lot of really neat characters and just kind of puts them into a blue-yellow good stuff deck. Now, you'll notice off the bat, this is Jiren, but we're not playing U11. We're actually playing blue-yellow good stuff. I think the leader is just generically good enough where it can replace Broly in a sense, because Broly is getting its major errata when set 9 comes out, that it can only restand Broly cards, not any card. Now, Jiren is tied to his U11 counterparts in a way, but he's still kind of generic. We'll talk about it in the deck profile. Guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Hit that bell so you never miss a video. If you guys want to help support the channel, lots of ways you can do that down below. We got the Patreon, we got the Crossroads TCG merch store. All that stuff helps out a lot, guys. If you want to buy or pre-order any of the cards you see here, make sure to use my links to TCG Player or Beard Collectibles. All that stuff helps out a lot. And finally, guys, we want to see you with Daily Mac Tournament of Power. This is going to be a valid deck you guys can play for that tournament. So I think you're going to want to try this out there. It's going to be the best tournament of the year. We're going to make that happen. With that being said, let's hop right in. So Jiren is new. I'll give him a quick read. Choose one card in your life and add it to your hand. That is a cost that triggers when this card attacks. And then you get to choose one of the following effects. You can either draw one and this card gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Cool thing is this can attack anything. We're seeing that as a more common trend here and there. So you can either draw one and gain 5,000 power, or you can choose one U11 card in your hand with energy cost of 2 or less and play it. So you either get the draw, which is very typical, very similar to Yellow Broly, which is why this is a pretty decent generic leader off the rip. But you also get the free play, the U11, which is pretty important. You can't play this deck completely free of U11s, but you can get pretty close, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. So the Awaken, you untap one and you draw one. Full power Jiren the Unstoppable. When this card attacks, you choose one card. You draw one card and gain 5,000 power. So that free 5k is always strong. Activate battle. Choose one card in your life. Add it to your hand until the start of your next main phase. Your opponent cannot deal damage to you while you have a Universe 11 card in play. So that's the caveat, right? The caveat is you do have to have that U11 in play in order for that effect to remain live. But there's a few pretty easy ways to do that. We'll talk about it in the deck profile. Firstly, the one Champa. I mean, this is a blue-yellow good stuff deck. You have a lot of energy manipulation. Sometimes you just got to go in with the leader and call it a day. 4 Bean, 4 Goku Black. I mean, your blue staples alongside the 2 Ultra Instinct Son Goku. This is really the blue package, the only real blue package I could justify playing. I mean, other blue cards you could include would be like one of the blue Cunning cards, but that kind of hurts you as a deck. And then you could also play like Borgos if you're afraid of Lemon Lime Frieza or other aggressive Bean decks like Cooler. But I really think that this is the only blue engine that justifies being main deckable. I mean, UI Goku, you just need it sometimes, like Gogeta 7 decks or Dimensional Banisher Fu decks, or sorry, Dark Banisher Fu decks. And we do have the ability to arrival pretty easily thanks to hit rapid movement. So that's not too big of a deal. I mean, Goku Black, though, it's exactly what you want in this deck, like in every single way. And when we get to one of the boss monsters later on, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We have a pretty thick multicolor lineup. So in total, we're running 14 multicolors. This is going to be a bit more than what I usually run with, but I mean, a few of them are extra cards. 4 of them are free energies. You don't have to charge them tapped thanks to Beer's Fickle God's effect. The rest of them, they just serve utility. 2 Frost Deadly Poison. I mean, we're trading in Broly, right? So we want to get some type of control card. Instead of Cold Bloodlust, we have 2 Frost Deadly Poison, so that fits pretty nicely. 2 Bojack Arrival. Card's good. I mean, it does tap other threats, so, you know, obviously the main threat defender in the deck is Bardock Raider's Warcry. But Bojack can get in there too, and you do want to spam the board sometimes, so the 1 yellow is pretty good. Hit rapid movement, like I said before, the 1 combo piece to get your stuff out onto the field. And then one of the new boss monsters in the deck. This card I am so in love with. It's one of the main reasons I wanted to build this deck. Hit in Cold Blood. So this is a new SR from set 9. It reads that it's a 7-drop, it's a 30k, triple strike, energy exhaust, permanent. Reduce energy costs of this card in your hand by 1 for each of your battle cards that are blue and or yellow. So that counts all your battle cards on the battle area, and it's 7 cost. You cannot go below that 4 specified, so you will always have to pay 2 blue and 2 yellow, but you can get this beast as low as a 4-drop. So let's read the auto. When you play this card, flip your opponent's leader to the front. If you do, your opponent can't activate their leader card's Awaken or Wish skills until the end of the turn. And that does also hit Awaken Surge, because Awaken Surge is classified as an Awaken thanks to the whole Heartfelt Plea rulings. So this card, like I said before, is a beast. You want to get blue and yellow cards onto the board pretty quickly and pretty cheaply, which is what this deck's able to do. So far we've seen Goku Black Unforeseen Darkness, basically a 1-drop 15k. We also have Bojack, which is basically a 1-drop 20k blue yellow. And now we go through the rest of the deck. We have Power Patora, just one of our finishing secret rares. 2-dimensional Banisher Fu. This is the only removal in the deck, really, and you guys know me if you guys have been a fan of the channel. I'm not a fan of playing decks without removal, but there are other options you can potentially play that I will talk about a little bit later. Kunchi, Threaded Energy. So this is one of the U11s that we're kind of forced to play, but it's not all that bad. So really, this card says permanent all Universe 11 cards with energy cost 2 or less in your battle area gain barrier. He does give himself barrier, so he's essentially a 1-drop barrier U11. Now, the thing with this deck is you're not really going to use the ability of Jiren often to free play a U11. You're more likely going to want to draw the card more often than not. There is a niche situation in which you're going to want to free play the battle card, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. So Kunchi, what you're really going to want to do here is you're going to want to play him for the 1 on any turn you have free energy. So that's most likely going to be turn 3, because turn 2 you really want to jam Goku Black. So turn 3 you're probably playing Kunchi. Turn 3 you're probably also awakening if your opponent's been attacking you. So the nice thing is your leader is an untap 1, draw 1. So that 1 energy you spend for Kunchi is just going to come back standing after you awaken. And then he has your U11 on board for Jiren's backside effect. And Jiren's backside effect, by the way, guys, I should have talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's absolutely insane. Like, you literally just guarantee for 3 turns your opponent cannot defeat you, and then, you know, by that 4th turn you hope to have won the game if you haven't lost yet. But you guys know what I mean. Kunchi, you're putting him in the battle area because he's a 1-drop barrier and he keeps your leader effect alive on the backside. You're not often going to free play him. That's the short and sweet of it. Flying Nimbus at 3, the best negate you can play right now. I mean, going into set 9, it still seems like Time Magic is pretty lackluster. You could play Lisa's Coercion if you really wanted to, but I don't think you need the blues, and I think Flying Nimbus is good enough. But again, your leader's backside effect just allows you to live for pretty much three guaranteed turns. Key Bomb Support Coquette, this is your super combo. It's 5 or less life if you're U11. You can free play this off the leader if you really need to get your backside effect live in a given turn, but really not the smartest idea because you are going to want to combo this off to draw your card, so not a huge thing. But the other one is Jiren, Pride of Universe 11. This is a 2-drop 15k. Activate main if your leader card is a U11 and you place this card in your drop area from your hand. Choose up to 2 U11 cards with energy costs of 1 in your drop area. Play them with their skills negated for the duration of the turn. So a few things with this. 1, if you need to be really aggressive, you can drop this for free on your opponent, on your leader's unawakened side, and it is a 2-drop 15k, and with your leader effect it's a free 15k, so that's good aggro pressure right there. The other ability is you can just discard it and you can play Kunchi from the drop area. His effects will be negated for that turn, but when it goes back to your opponent's turn, he will be a barrier, he will be difficult for your opponent to deal with, and he will keep your backside leader effect alive. So even if like earlier in the game you comboed Kunchi away to a rival or comboed him away to take damage, it works really well with the Jiren, Pride of Universe 11. So I like this card a lot at 3. I think 3 is all you need. You basically have 7 ways to get your Kunchi onto the board, so that works out really well. Next up, we've got 2 Swift Retaliation Cooler. This card, in my opinion right now, is a yellow staple. With the amount of counterplay and the amount of topo, really, the amount of topo, the amount of Nimbus, all that good stuff in the format, Cooler is just game winning. Like, you drop it at the right time. If you have a somewhat established board, you're getting into the later turns, which Jiren allowed you to do, and you drop this guy, you're going to be in a really good situation. Chomp the Trickster at 3. This card is so weird. I mean, I played it in Surge Goku, obviously, if you guys saw my deck profiles. Like, you just need it sometimes. It's not the most overperforming card. It's not the most overwhelming card, but sometimes you just need it. And then Grade 8 Bardock Raiders Warcry at 4. That's the heart and soul of the deck, the bread and butter. Going over to the sideboard, just a few options you guys can include if you would like. I would probably sideboard these cards, if not, potentially bring them into the main deck. Desperate Measures. So what we just talked about with Cooler, Desperate Measures serves similar purposes. It hits most of the counterplays and most of the other annoying cards like Topo in the game. So you hit your Topos, obviously, you hit your Vegeta the Cruels, you hit your Chomp of the Tricksters, all that good stuff. But a really broken play with this card is you just get to put Goku Black Unforeseen Darkness back into your hand. That is such a high value play. I've talked about it before in other videos. That play is, it gets you so much value. The 1-drop 15k beater that draws 2, fixes your hand. It's so insane. Son Goku and Vegeta Saiyan Bonds. This card's a really cool rival for blue yellow, but I decided not to include it. I'll tell you why. So when you do play it though, you get to draw a card and you get to negate one of your opponent's battle card skills for a turn. I decided not to include this. I decided to include Bojack because Bojack comes onto the board for cheaper, and you don't really need to negate skills when your leader says you can't lose. Like, you can't even lose to Victory Strike with Jiren because your opponent is just not allowed to inflict damage. So I didn't think this card was super essential, but I mean, you could always include it if you wanted to. Mirror Assault from the Sky, if you really don't care to play removal, but I definitely do, but if you don't care to play removal, you could sub out Banisher Fu for Mirror Assault from the Skies. I probably wouldn't play Creator Absorbed just because he's a 10k and you don't have that same finishing power that Broly used to have by restanding him. So I think Mirror is really good for the big 30k double strike pressure, and then untapping energy during your opponent's turn gives you access to Bean, access to Nimbus, all that good stuff. Fu the Dark Banisher, another great finisher. You're probably going to want this card against Hatchiyak, but you're probably also going to want to consider Fu Shrouded and Mystery. Both cards are excellent, and really, Fu Shrouded is the one that's harder for Hatch to deal with because in set 9, they're getting the Deborah Cold Bloodlust card, but you cannot Cold Bloodlust the Fu thanks to its auto going before Deborah's, but Deborah can hit Dark Banisher, so Fu Shrouded is probably one you're going to want to consider. And then Crusher Ball in the side deck. I think Crusher Ball is amazing this format. I think it's going to be amazing next format. So I think you're going to want to heavily consider playing it. But guys, overall, this is the deck profile. It's still in the early stages, so definitely let me know what you think in the comments below. But I think it's a really cool, fun deck. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.